Welcome back to AM Northwest. He is no doubt one of America's most loved, respected, and hard-working doctors, and we are absolutely thrilled that he's with us today. Please welcome heart surgeon, TV and radio host, and best-selling author, Dr. Mehmet Oz.
Nice to have you here.
Thank you very much.
We are devoting the whole show to you. You have your own show right here on K2 at 3 o'clock. You've been married 25 years. You have 4 kids. And your wife, Lisa, apparently was the one who got you into TV. Is that correct? Because she was a producer?
She is. I had no ideas, no thoughts at all about going into television. The business itself seems very foreign to me. My calling was always medicine. I love going to the operating room, sort of like that scene from Apocalypse Now when the colonel says, I love the smell of napalm in the morning. That's what I felt like. And I always took great pride in going to the OR. And then she said, you come home and you're depressed sometimes because you're taking this bandsaw and cutting through people's chests. And you know that they can often prevent what you're doing to them and all the diseases
or that they caused
yeah.
why they're there in the operating room in
Absolutely.
the first place. Yeah.
And so she said, let's do a show. And that show ended up being on Discovery Channel. Oprah was my first guest.
So Oprah was on your show first.
You discovered Oprah.
A little known fact, a little known insight that Miss Winfrey was just a small-time Chicago host, and she came out of Discovery. Well, I had done her show once or twice, but it was a whole different experience. And I needed the mentorship because in medicine, and by the way, for everyone out there who's thinking about the interactions they're having with their docs and how they're sometimes problematic, we're taught to give people facts. But that's not how you change their minds. In fact, I'm convinced after having done 175 Dr. Oz shows now, all season long, that we don't change our minds based on what we know. We change our minds based on what we feel.
Yes.
Well, and isn't our world really easy now to live however we want? Because medicine is so advanced, and no matter what ails you, medicine will take care of it. I don't have to exercise, I can take a pill.
Dave, slippery slope, as you know, because the reality is we've got great new technologies that help folks, but that's not where we win the health battle. We win the health battle in our living rooms, in our kitchens, in our bedrooms. When you have a sexual famine in America, you're not going to solve that at a hospital.
A sexual famine?
Famine, yes. I know you were talking about that before the show.
Yeah.
The first words, I had to say this, I walked into the makeup room, the first word I heard Helen say was sex.
Sex, yeah.
And then Dave said, it's the last word she'll say too.
Yeah, it probably will.
So here's my question. How often should you have sex?
You should have sex twice a week at least. Now, the average American...
Do you have a prescription pad with you?
I got it. I've taken the liberty of writing it out for you.
Thank you.
Your wife says in her book that when first time she met you, she was love at first sight. She knew she was going to marry you. Did you know the same? Was it the same for you?
Yeah, she pushed all my buttons.
What buttons?
The button, she made me uncomfortable in a good way. And I think we were talking about the Gores, for example. I think that folks, when they first meet, are perfectly designed to irritate each other. So you get a little bit uncomfortable with the interaction, which is great because that's how you grow. And then what happens when we get married is that women want their males to change. But they got all these plans for how your man can become something different. And he doesn't want to change. And then men don't want their women to change, and they do change.
Yes.
So they start to move apart from each other. So every 7 years, you got to reconnect. It's true in marriage. It's probably true in most things you got to do in life.
Is that why, and my wife's going to hate this when I say this, is that why I really enjoy it when my wife and I fight?
Yeah. It's makeup sex.
Well, I don't know about that. Again, I need the prescription pad.
But yes, just on a short note, my wife couldn't be here with us today, but she wrote this book, which is a New York Times bestseller.
Right.
And she wrote it in part because we spent most of our married lives, like most folks watching, talking to each other about relationships. Actually, with her talking to me about it as they fell asleep at night. And she finally realized, and it's a takeaway message for the women out there, write it down, because women talk to men like they're women. Right? They think we'll connect the dots.
Right.
And we are visual learners. Write it down for us. Use small words. Right? Make it really simple. And don't assume we'll get any kind of processing in our minds. And if you can do it in front of a sporting event or with food, it works even better.
God, I'm so glad you're here.
One of the things she says, too, that I think is really interesting about you, as I mentioned, hardworking. She says you're out the door at 6 a.m. and you're not back home till after 10 p.m. during the weekdays. How are you able to, because I know you also suggest that people get enough sleep and they get enough R&R. How do you do that?
Well, Helen, for me, it's not about time management. It's about energy management. And so when I get up in the morning, like this show's energetic. This is fun for me. I mean, some people might call it work because I have to be here at a certain time and I'm in Portland, but it's not. It's fun for me to have this interaction. And if what you're doing in life gives you chi, gives you energy, then I don't worry much about the hours that you work. Now, I'm very disciplined in my day. I always get my 7.5 hours of sleep. I am so strict about that, and I work hard at it. Everyone out there watching, believe me, it's as hard for me as it is for you. And the kids go to sleep at a certain time. I am just lights out, and I'm in bed by 10:30, and I fight hard to sleep till dawn because I know I got to get up. And whether I go to, I still operate, by the way. So whether I'm going to the OR on Thursdays or I go to the studio at 30 Rock, I have Conan's old studio, by the way. I told him he can't have it back. But whether I go to the studio, it's the same basic game. You get your routine in there, and then you live your life.
You go 100 miles an hour in your workday. How do you vacation, and do you?
No, I play hard at vacation. We have the Oz Olympics. I get my 4 kids out there. We play all kinds of sports. We go places where you can be active. I'm of Turkish origin, so we go to Turkey a lot. There they are, the terrorists. You see that? They're all 4 of them. And so my wife is the shortest one to my right, and I always joke with her that she's the mother of my oldest daughter, but she's also the mother of my youngest son because she's so different in size from them. But all those kids that she's keep track of all these years, we go on vacations with them as a family. Whether we go visit my parents in Turkey or go out in other parts of the world, we try to do it as a unit. And you know what? We fight with each other like all families do. But you realize when you sit around the table at the end of the day, that you're still blood. You'll make up. You'll figure it out.
Well, wise words. We're gonna take a break. When we come back, we're gonna talk to you about men and some Father's Day advice. We'll get that from Dr. Oz. Stay right there.